It's a wonderful day. It's a pleasure being back here with all of you, our viewers, listeners, everywhere in the world. Welcome to our 95th edition here of the Issues Room, a presentation that comes away Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today is October 11th, 2022, and it's good to be back with you, all of you. You, our viewers, far and wide in Africa, particularly Liberia, those of you in Asia, on the continent of South America, North America. We also encourage you from Australia, our viewers in other places around Europe. We say thank you so much for coming through and joining us here tonight. The conversation is going to be a good one. I guarantee that because we have someone who is of no stranger to the Liberian community, whether at home or abroad. This is a man whose name has been around for a while, particularly in the heyday of our Civil War. He advocated for justice, for human rights. And so he's our guest tonight, and we're honored to have uh, the Honorable Attorney uh, Samuel Kofi Woods, who will be joining us subsequently as he gets himself situated. But in the meantime, my name is Volcano Shelton. Welcome you to the Issues Room. It's a pleasure having all of you, our viewers. And I say Moses Andy is already taking his seat out there in Delaware, but vicariously in Monrovia, Liberia. Welcome, Moses. If you can hear me, I see you getting yourself situated.
Yes. Uh, it's good to be back in the issues room. Another week, another beginning. This is the place to be. I'm here in a very good mood today. We look forward to having a very prominent figure in Liberia, the Honorable Kofi Woods.
Thank you,
It's good to
Moses.
be here
I
with you,
guess
Volcano.
we're pressed with time. The Honorable told us that he uh, has other pressing engagement, but he availed himself, so we have to work with time. And so,
Yeah.
without further ado, I would like to bring him straight in studio. Welcome him, uh, Your Honorable, Mr.
Thank
Woods.
you.
Welcome. It's a pleasure having you. I know that you're very busy. Usually, when you folks come to the states, you got to do your low, medical checkup. You got some important things to take care of. There are other matters, and so to avail yourself, it is an honor to have you. And if you can just lower your monitor a little bit because we're getting feedback, uh, that will help uh, with the conversation here tonight.
Is it all right?
Um,
Yes.
I'm still I'm still hearing myself.
Yeah.
Uh,
If you can just lower it. Do you hear
okay.
us?
Yeah, very well. Very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
but it's just that I'm hearing what was saying and it's coming
Is
right
it
back.
low up there?
Let's see.
uh, go ahead,
Um,
Volcano.
but if
Oh,
you lower it, wouldn't you
yeah.
hear us? Try that and see.
Okay, let me.
When you lower, yeah.
Okay, I got it low,
Okay.
Completely. It's
so
still
I can
feeding
hear.
through. It's still feeding.
Oh,
Okay.
maybe
Okay.
do I have
Okay.
to
Is
cut?
it okay? Are you
Oh,
driving?
maybe I'm hearing. I'm
No, I'm,
hearing
I'm
the
just
echo.
sitting in the. I'm just sitting in
Okay.
one place.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sitting in one place in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. Let's
I'm not
see.
moving. I'm not moving at all.
Okay. When you're talking, there's no feedback. But when I'm talking or Moses talking, then we have feedback. All right. Let's just shoot.
We just go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to welcome you. This is our 95th edition here in the Issues Room. Um, I know that a lot of platforms are out there, discussing Liberia's issue, but it's an honor that you were able to accept our invitation to be here tonight. And so we want to kick the ball rolling. Your visit here also culminated with the fact that you had to serve as guest speaker at the Agile Convention, the Just in the Agile Convention. Honestly, you were very stern. You were straightforward. You capture a lot of things in your speech, and we wanted to come around your speech a little bit before we look at other things. Since we were mesmerized by the way you spoke, and some of those things were very important for us to discuss. So I'll let Moses take the lead on the first two questions, and then I'll come in. So Moses, uh,
Yeah.
Honorable Rules is yours.
Thank you, Anthony Woods.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Issues Room.
Go ahead, Moses. He's already welcome.
It's a pleasure, sir, to have you. So, before we begin to delve into other of the contemporary issues in Liberia, your name is very prominent out there. There are some members of our viewers that would really like to know a bit about you. Could you just talk briefly about you, your advocacy, your legal defense for journalists in Liberia? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, firstly, let me say to you, both Volcano and Moses, that equally for me, it is an honor and a privilege to be interacting with the both of you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
As you know, when it comes to Liberia, we are all partners, and the work that you all are engaged in are equally as important as the kinds of things that we do on the ground. So I'm also honored to be engaging with you. In the United States, I'm on a visit. Primarily, I came to the AJA convention October 1st, and on Saturday, I will be speaking again in Worcester at the installation of the leadership of the Friends of Massachusetts. So I've been busy visiting sick relatives and friends, and and so forth. But this, for me, is critical. I cannot speak more about myself. It is the challenge, and over the past few years, I've been trying to complete a book that started off with Georgetown University. I never want to come across as being heroic, invisible, or as the guy who carry all the credit for work that other librarians like you and many others have done to contribute towards where we are today. It has not been alone. And I don't want to run the risks or fall into the temptation of coming across as someone who believe that I have achieved or overachieved anything, because nothing has been done on my own. From my student days at the university, it's been the Student Unification Party, group of people like Wu Gabi Tapia and others that I would pay tribute to who have lost their life, D. Mamadou Labra, and many others, as well as some of those alive today who contributed significantly to the student movement and advocacy. At the National Student Union, Larry Tukpa and Thomas Du and many other leaders. At the Justice and Peace Commission, Steve Wilson, Veg Alfonso Yono, Caroline Carana, and others, including Archbishop Michael Francis, who supported the commission. At the Foundation for International Development in Sierra Leone, where I started to help refugees in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. We also had James Yasia and others. And now at the Law Society, we have Councillor To and many others who are associating with this process. So I just want to be very careful about how I proceed. So I just want to say that collectively, a lot of people have contributed to where we are today, whether it's as a human rights lawyer, as a student leader, and with our work with journalists, since the early 1990s. We are proud, and I think that speaks for itself.
I think that's the best way to put it, Moses.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. So, let's delve now into today's Liberia. When you spoke at the Aja convention, specifically the benefit banquet that was held in Worcester, Massachusetts, You said Liberia is in peril. The country is sick. It needs resuscitation. How do you explain that?
Well, Moses, I'm coming from a certain background where many years ago and even now I maintain that we have a leadership deficit in Liberia. It's a national leadership deficit. When I say the national leadership deficit, the first time I made mention of this was at an installation program of the female lawyer during the early administration. I was criticized. The impression that was being conveyed was the leadership was indeed limited to the presidency, to the president. But when I speak about national leadership deficit, I'm looking at all levels of the society, our religious community, our family that has been disintegrated over the period of the war and have not been able to revive itself, our social, our economic community, I mean, all sectors of the society requires leadership. So we're not just talking about the presidency alone. Now, when I say Liberia is sick, many of you know that indeed I served not only as a human rights lawyer and activist, but I served in government before. I was Minister of Labor, and we can talk about X-raying my role. I was Minister of Public Works. But one of the fundamental things I can come across clearly is that those of us who argue and advocated for accountability, I'm on record as one of those who declared my assets. And it was truthfully verified and truthfully declared. It was reported by the LACC. I declared my assets, right? While I was in government. When I left government at the Ministry of Public Works, I have become the first minister, at least I know, who was audited twice. Beyond that, I opted to stay in Liberia after my public service and have requested if there's any question about my public service, I am willing to remain in Liberia and answer those questions before a court of competent jurisdiction. So I've opened myself to those issues. And I got job abroad, I refuse to leave. I remain in Liberia. What is happening in Liberia today? As you may know, the issue of mysterious death came out, growing out of even early administration. We had the issue of Market Allison. You heard about Harry Greaves. And it continued. We've had some explained death at that time, and we even had more. But there were very interesting developments in recent times. We had 4 auditors, key auditors, that allegedly died within 8 days. The head of the internal auditing division, the agency, Baten Yinswa. We had a number of people like Peters, he died, and a young lady from LBJ. I mean, a lot of people within just 8 days. Then we had a situation with a young man, Matthew Innes from the central bank. And all of these happened around critical moments of reported audit and issues around the consolidated account, around scheme of loans, these questions. But then they have not been brought to closure. So this kind of mysterious, unexplained death creates an environment of fear. And some of them have happened in different areas. Precious Cooper, I mean, young lady who was found around the ERWA junction in the compound bleeding. People question the result of the pathological report. And all of these issues, nothing has been brought to closure. We have our health situation, our health institution. When I was Minister of Government, the JFK people can tell you that I did everything to go to JFK for treatment. And by going to JFK, there was a lot of discovery I made going to JFK for my treatment. I was in the US during a World Bank meeting. I fell ill. And I called the head of JFK and went to Liberia and went to seek treatment at JFK itself as a minister in the country. And I think with a serious deterioration in our health situation, our education situation, the situation of the filth in Monrovia, the capital city of Liberia, filth, academic filth that is challenging the country. I mean, all these things in itself, coupled with industrialized, unchecked corruption, as have been manifested and affirmed by the Liberian government after sanctions were imposed on 3 officials to ask them to, first they were suspended and then they were forced to resign. All of these tell you the country is not healthy. So when you talk about the health of the country, these are indicators. If you do a health check of the nation, you will realize that the country is sick. We need to resuscitate our country. We need to come together and embark on radical, deliberate reforms that will help to take us to the next level of our country.
So Honorable Woos, anyone listening now will say, but you were in government. They always attribute, a statement of this kind. You were
Yeah.
in government. What are your measurables? Think
Okay.
about your time at labor and your time at public works.
All right. And I think why it is fair to mention being in government as the standard, one cannot say that if Kofi Woods omitted in doing certain things is justifiable for a new government, because people say, oh, during early time. Now, if you use that as a yardstick, then there's no need to have emerged and come to power on the banner of change. Because then, if that is the standard that we use, early standard, then we have a serious problem. But let me say what happened first at labor. At the labor ministry, and the unions can attest to that, the labor unions, there was a lot of important development. One, when I took office as a human rights advocate and lawyer, we had to continue with the Firestone case. You may know that we have filed a case against Firestone prior to becoming minister, accepting the job. So part of the issue was to look at those fundamental emergency action that needed to be taken. One, we had on our books Decree 12, promulgated by the PRC, the People Redemption Council, that forbade strike action in the Republic. I sought to repeal that law immediately as an urgent action, as a human rights lawyer, to tell workers you can strike, but these are the procedures you must use. These are the steps you will use to strike. Exhaust these measures and you can strike. So I, as a lawyer, human rights lawyer, made sure that was repealed. The second thing that was done, 15083C of the labor law, which gave employers the right to hire and fire without cause. Employers who hire and fire an employee without cause. It was on our books. We immediately amended it. We had workshop and we made sure that was done. Having done that, we embarked then on a full comprehensive reform of the law. With the ILO, with the American Bar Association, we began to review the law, have consultation, and so forth. I left labor before that law was finalized in 2015 because I left labor in 2009, but we have a Decent Work Act now in Liberia, whose foundation started as part of the fundamental reforms in the country. And so the Decent Work Act, as it is, has its own problem because I didn't end it. I know it was tampered with in many ways, but we have that now that we can work with as an instrument that began a reform process. In 80 years, the first free and fair democratic union election at Firestone was conducted under my administration. Unions we had the Solidarity Center, we had the IO monitoring those elections. First time in history, we had an independent union. That union was even invited here for the first time to visit the United States and work with the AFL-CIO and the United Steelworkers. I became the first minister ever in the steelworker history in America to address the convention here in Nevada. Why? Because of the efforts we're making. If you go to Firestone today, you will see the transformation that began with my administration. Those huts, Division 40, I can point to some of those places, and many other places were being transformed. First time in the history of Liberia, Firestone has a high school now that they can boast of, but it came out of hard and difficult negotiations. The labor union became strong, The Chamber of Commerce was supported by the IO, and we were able now to embark on a tripartite engagement that was strong and that was very relevant. So that process started, at least with our administration. Now, that's just a summary of the many things that happened in rebuilding our relationship. Then, because of our ability to manage, Madam Salif developed a radical and historic approach to say, look, with this guy, administrative and managerial skills and efficiency, public works has been usually run by an engineer. But I think the problem at public works is a management problem, it's an administrative problem. We need somebody with this skill set to go out to public works and begin a process there now that will set it on a new path. And she called me. I got a call and she asked me, she wanted me to go to public works. And I asked her why. I'm not an engineer. She said, Minister, the problem at public works is not an engineering problem. We got engineers there, but we need an administrator. It was because of what we did at public works, a new tradition started with Madam Salif taking people to lands and mines, where she really wanted administrators, good managers, not just technocrats, but managers in the institution. What did we do at public works? Firstly, we had to now set up a new system, a procurement system to account properly. We had to build a certification regime for contractors. We had to focus on how we could build the capacity of Liberian contractors to be able to compete. But then at the same time, there was demand for a number of things. Roads. Liberian people, once they hear public works, whether you do your policy, you do your regulation, they don't want to hear that. They want to see roads. They want to see roads. So what we had to do, from Cotton Tree to Volcano. I don't know if many of you have gone to Liberia in recent time and gone to Volcano. That was done under my administration.
Okay.
That was done under my administration. All the way to Volcano, we built that road.
Okay.
From a Coca-Cola factory through Banga to the Guinean border was built under my administration, negotiated under my administration. Those roads that used to take maybe 5 hours, 10 hours on, now you can see how they go. The GSA road, for instance, Carwell Road. You know that we had the hydro in Carwell for years. We never had a paved road there. We paved that road and we tried to put in regulations. In fact, even the bridge, one of the last acts that I committed was to sign onto that bridge, the Carwell Bridge that you have there now. Unfortunately, the regulation of traffic, axle loading, trucks movement, sand movement has had its effect. But that road was done during my administration. We had to redo the SKD Boulevard. The SKD Boulevard,
I remember that.
Now it's 4-lane. Why? The road was not good, and I insisted that it would be 4-lane. I know I was challenged. I was criticized internally in government because I was now moving in a direction that was expending government money. But I had said that if we're negotiating to open up Garnersville into a 4-lane, and Congo Town was 4-lane, the connector between the two must be 4 lanes.
You're right.
So that's how we got the SKD Boulevard that you see 4-lane now, and that is connecting to the so-called Japanese highway. We started the Japanese highway, and many of you need to know the secret behind that. The Japanese did not come to do that road. They came to connect small, mini, and link bridges around the country. In our negotiations, we insisted that we revisit the previous agreement. It took more than 6 months. I had to negotiate based on my relationship and connection with the first secretary of Japan to get what we now have, the Somalia Drive with 4-lane. It was a whole new negotiation to take them from what they had previously wanted to do and go over there. The bond mine roads, which I'm not happy with because I left before bond mine was paid. As a kid, I used to go bond mine from Kakata. That road was rocket road.
That's the road.
And we insisted, after renegotiating with the Chinese in bond mines, they had agreed on a laterite road. And I told them, in this century and age, it would not be accepted. That's how we got that and Kota Road. That Alpha Road, I'm very unhappy with it because I left before it was done. I think the weight of
it could be substandard.
I'm not happy. The weight of it terrible for such a road. but I left before it was done. So those were things that we really began and we embarked on. You now know that you have Duper Road to Soul Clinic in the back. You have the Nizo to Pipeline Road. All those roads are now paved, and all these things we embarked on, and we did a number of feeder roads, Piata Road, all those roads in Bond County, in Nima County, we did them. I left Public Works. I resigned in 2013. And, I felt then, and I feel now, that it was difficult now to begin to communicate with my colleagues in government, that it was becoming more challenging to remain in an environment that was becoming more challenging for me. And I needed to return, especially after Archbishop Michael Francis died. I felt that I needed to return to my lifelong passion, return to the human rights community, and continue the work that I love to do so much with so much passion and conviction that I've done with journalists back in the 1990s, representing journalists free of charge, and we continue that work to date. Now we've gone to the ECOWAS Code, we've done some work there, we've done some work around the region in Switzerland and different places. So I'm very proud that we're able to do some of those things and much more. You talk about the road from Harper all the way to Fishtown. We did the first pavement, clear it out, and we signed the agreement to have it paved. All of these things around the country. My plan for 5 years over time was to make sure we connect all county capital by paved road. Every county around the country. Every little child living in every county, in every city in that country must be able to see paved road entering the city. That was my vision. That's all I was thinking about. So we're even
So,
able
Mr.
to
Woods,
connect Sino to Grand Cru. From Sino, the first time you were able to connect Sino to Grand Cru through Greenville area, Kakapo area, to Jiken, all those areas, was during my administration. And I went to see something else. I basically went there to see the university farm that the Atlantic Resource Corporation was building a road to. And when I got there and I asked my engineers, where could this road lead? They said it could go to Grand Cru. I said, we embark upon it. And we committed, the government, to a 60-40 sharing arrangement that finally completed that road. A lot of people now have been using that road to enter Grand Cru through Sino.
So
So
I know
we did
Moses,
what we
you're
could do.
eager. I know
I
you're
just
eager.
wanted to piggyback
No,
quickly.
let me just throw this from a writer here. Said during all of this, did you see the need for a coastal highway? Because I believe President Weah is the one wanting to take credit for that. Our audio tonight is bad. Agree, Henry Shapalu. These are the kinds of circumstances sometimes with technology. But yeah, did you see the need for a coastal highway
Oh,
during your
yes. In
tenure?
fact, let me be honest with you. When I took office, the first thing I did at every ministry was to consult and have discussion with those who previously headed those ministries, whether they were minister or deputy minister. I sought to go and listen to them. I did not condemn them. What I did was to meet them, sit and talk with them. And every dedication program on things that I inherited, like the Vitam Bridge that broke, I inherited it. When we were dedicating that new bridge, I brought in Willie Knuckles, a former minister of public, and Lucini Donso to that program. I asked them to speak because they started it. And I must be honest to you, the idea of a coastal highway came about during Knuckles' administration. I recall when Knuckles was making his presentation at the confirmation hearing, he mentioned that clearly. So it didn't just start, all right? It started basically during the Knuckles administration, and we took that on from there. So part of that road from Sino to Greenville into Grand Cru was part of the network that were dragging, gradually to have those connections along the coastal counties to be able to connect them straight through. It is still possible. I think with more commitment of the government, there's a lot that can be done. And I think government-owned resources, I repeat, can be invested in a lot of things. Because the Town, the Carwell, the GSA, the SKD Bolivar, Jamaica Road, all those roads were done with money from taxpayers.
Wow.
Okay.
Not
So,
the so-called, you say, World Bank. Okay, those local roads that you hear about, those feeder roads that were paved, were all done by money from the Liberian government budget and taxpayers. And I think we
Great,
can do more.
That's
great.
important. That's important to know, Moses, because all
Yes.
along
Very important.
I've
And
been thinking all of these were donor monies that we have to pay back.
No, no, no. If
it's
you're talking about Buchanan Road and you're talking about those main primary roads, okay. But most of those other roads you saw around our place were taking the money from government budget.
And I guess
Government
that's the
budget.
same road fund money that they took and pay salaries the other
Well,
day here.
no, the road fund came about when I had discussion with some of my colleagues at the World Bank, and we needed to have a consolidated fund, a dedicated fund for maintenance of our roads. I went to Ghana with the late Mabutu Blan Yimpan. At the time, he was chairman of the Senate Committee on Public Works. And we went to study what was being done in Ghana. There were two things we brought back. One was to establish a road authority, a road fund, construct a board for the road fund, and something called a law for axle loading. What many persons might not be aware of is that every vehicle that ply your street, depending on the speed and the width of that vehicle, it has effect, all right, on the
Yeah.
sustainability of your road. So unless you have a law that regulates mileage, speed of vehicle, and the width of vehicle, they will affect your bridges and they will affect your road. So we had come back, and part of the proposal was to establish this road fund that will be dedicated for the maintenance of our roads. Because in Liberia, when you build your house, you hardly maintain it. Unless the roof starts falling down, then you know it's important. The same with our roads. We build the road, we go back to the legislature the next year and say we need money for the Carway Road. Why do we need money? You just build the road. But what they don't realize is that every year, as we change our season, like abroad, seasonal maintenance of the roads become very important.
Very,
We
very.
ignore those things, and so we allow the road to deteriorate significantly before we can intervene. By that time, we spend more money than what we should be spending. So it's
Yeah, it's like
important.
building a new road.
Yes. So that's what it is.
Okay,
okay.
Moses.
So, Mr. Woods, quickly, let me piggyback on this. Help us understand, yeah, the Weir administration, especially President Weir, in Liberian parlance, people refer to him as bad road medicine. Is he taking credit for some of the good jobs that you people did, or has he done more than any other administration in terms of road network?
Well, in my view personally, one cannot argue that he did most of it. But in politics, as you know, government is continuity. And
Right.
in some instances, even when they were opening and dedicating the Japanese highway, which we provided the argument for, basically, clearly to justify why that road needed to be connected, because we had to meet with the Japanese. I have the letter, the document the Japanese took on that road, because the connectivity from the port. Liberia used to be a transnational port, the free port. They used to move goods from over there as a transshipment entity all the way to Mali before the war. And my argument to these people was, look, we will be connecting the port to rural Liberia. So we need this road as much as possible. We have to build it. We have the argument. We were not credited. Madam Sally probably were not credited. Even some of the construction that you had that were dedicated, the airport, people didn't credit. But for us, we live with our conscience. We paid our price. We did our service. We walk away. We've never spoken about these things, and I chose not to speak about them because I believe that in our conscience, we're working for Liberia. Those who work with us know our work. They've seen our work. So at the appropriate time, I know the truth will triumph.
Okay. So now let's come back to what you saw earlier, giving the leadership deficit in Liberia. Uh, what is the way forward? The resuscitation. What do we need to do to make changes in Liberia?
Well, there are some fundamental questions that needs to be addressed. And I think right now, the argument that's being made, which is critical is regime change. That's the argument. But I think it's also cosmetic. There are fundamental questions of statehood because, in as much that I agree that leadership change and transition becomes critical, the fundamental of statehood, education. Have we invested really in educating our young people? This transformation, have we created a new youth in Liberia? No. We've perpetuated a broken, backward, corrupt entity called state. And with the educational system in place, it will always be a challenge. No matter how good you are, you take over Liberia, and those fundamentals are not being addressed, you're wasting your time. You have 6 years, which I think is too long normally, but within 6 months, you'll be condemned by people because it will take some time to really get the institutions, the regulations, the policy in place, and to have the revolution of the mind of the ordinary Liberians to be able to get to where you want to go. So on the one hand, yes, obviously we need regime change. But most of the people who are running to be president want to be president, but they are not planning to be president. And there's a difference. The desire to be president is different from planning strategically to build a team, a real team of leaders committed to public service and dedicated to radical change in Liberia. You know, so yes, on the one hand, I agree, and people will say, well, my argument is opposition, yes, or whatever position. But my view is, no matter who comes to power, among all those candidates that are running, I think the critical thing is to look at the fundamentals of our country, look at our education system, our health system, looking at some radical investment. We repeat iron ore. By the time any government gets in there, they continue to perpetuate the old regime of negotiating the iron ore concession, the rubber concession. But we still, as I propose, we still have the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. Cultural affairs, tourism have been buried. Ecotourism. We have a long sea coast fishery. So many other investments we are afraid to tackle. We need to break new grounds. We need to break and enter new frontiers for Liberia. And we need to be able to account for every penny and resources of Liberian people and deploy them to the benefit of our be addressed to move forward. Otherwise, we are wasting our time.
So let me quickly ask you this question by one of the viewers here, Morris Kasama. And guys, midfield deco, we understand is a technical issue we can't remedy right now with the echo, so we're just going to flow. Once the minister is speaking, a former minister is speaking, we don't have the echo. Only it's coming from Moses and myself. But someone is asking here, say, with the passion you have for Liberia, what is your role or what you intend to do come 2023? I just wanted to throw that in. I thought it was a good question.
Well, one of the trouble we have in Liberia is principally everybody who has the goodwill, everybody who have the commitment. The next thing is presidency.
Yeah.
The key thing is presidency. And people are right because the leadership, the presidency is an imperial presidency. I mean, just imagine the president appoint more than close to 5,000, almost 5,000 human beings from his decks. Assistant superintendent, board members, board chairman, now sitting mayor. I mean, just name it, assistant minister. I mean, just name the amount of people.
Yeah.
So, and it becomes the center for exploitation and ill-gotten wealth. That has become the value of the state to us. So everybody wants to be president. I think some of the investment we continue to make. Right now, I'm working with the drug rehab group that we're trying to do a rehab center on the Volcano highway, looking at the issue of drug as a national emergency? How do we try to work with young people to address the drug pandemic? How do we look at the crisis of rape, sexual exploitation, and
Exploitation.
some whole new roof youth? And over the next few months, Volcano and Moses, I will not let the cat out of the bag, but there will be a very important role that I have decided to assume in Liberia, basically to be able to revisit my passion of working with youth and students, to be able to pay back even more what I have learned over the years as a student and as a young man. So we'll be taking over a number of projects and efforts to visit our youth, to meet them where they are, not to condemn them. The motorcyclists, what do we do? Adult literacy, how do we work with them? You know, the Zogos that they call them, which we have to redefine. How do we
Right.
work with these people? You know, how do we get
Yeah.
into our schools and engage the young people and students? How do we get them involved in agriculture, in more voluntarism? How do we redefine and recharacterize our young people? If we can do that, if we can revive institutions again like the YMCA, the High Y, the Fly, these fundamental institutions that were the breeding ground for many of us who became leaders in the country, if we can revisit these fundamentals, we will be able to now build a new Liberia from below. And I think a lot of work. I don't envy those who are run to be president now. Like I always tell people, I leave my option open. I will not close it, but I never know what it holds. But my passion right now is to revisit the fundamental recharacterizing our young people, developing the new youth, as I call it, and meeting them where they are. Whether they are in video clubs, we'll go there. We use the video club to transform them, but not to condemn them because they go there. We find another value in that video club that they go to watch the football games and use that same video club to transform them. We meet them where they are and be able to work with them and extract their ability and their potential. For me, that is what I'm focusing on at the moment.
And the issues room has seen this long ago. We've talked about it that the pandemic in Liberia is our young people. I watched Al Jazeera this morning, and there's crisis and calamity ongoing in Haiti right now as I speak to
Oh
you.
yeah,
And when you watch the video, it's all the young people in the streets. I mean, they're looting, they're throwing rocks at police. The country is in a state of lawlessness. It's a failed state. They, in fact, asking the
yeah,
prime minister to resign. Since I believe the president was assassinated, uh, they're still going helter skelter. Liberia is on the verge if nothing is done for our young people. And I thought to just make that analogy because I want those people in government today to start to think and pay attention. Too many young people are idle in that country. I go there every year and I see the thousands of youth who are
yeah.
not in school, who are not doing anything, but just idle. And they could
That's true.
be, you know,
That is true.
yeah. So,
And we
but
use
but
all kinds
but
of names
another
for them:
question here.
Zogos,
Go ahead.
TikTok bombers, and all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff. When we could be redefining them in a different way. You
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Another question here before Moses comes back
Go
in
ahead.
comes from another from L.A. Stevens. He says, Mr. Minister, as far as construction of properties that were constructed during your administration, not meeting the public works code, for instance, like observing the community islands,
Zoning laws and all of
drainage
that.
and zoning and all of that. How do you speak to that? Because you and I know all the alleys, the nook and crannies, or however they call it, all of those places are now blocked. You can barely get to your own property. People moving the fence into the little piece of land that belongs to the government for easy access. The drainage now is the new garbage bin. What did you do when you were minister to enforce zoning and the ordinances and codes that are responsible? Uh, you can hear?
Are you with us? Okay, he's not
Not
hearing
hearing
you.
us?
Are
Hold
you
on.
mute?
He's not mute. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's coming from his gadget.
Oh, okay.
Um, everything is fine on my end here.
Yeah, my end
Everything
too.
everything is good.
Do you hear
Um,
us? Oh my God.
could you okay? Let's do this. Log on and come back in. We'll be here waiting for you. Log out and come back in. We'll be here waiting for
Go
you.
in and out, in and out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
So
as I see, you think about
mhm.
it, the young people, man, is a serious problem, and the guys in power, they overlooking this, the magnitude of these young people, and how much of unprepared ness they are when you think about it.
Yeah.
Can you hear us now?
Are you there?
He's there,
You're still
Moses.
having
He's seen
difficulties.
the man. Listen, call him and tell him to log out and come back in.
Oh, okay. He's
So yeah, let me just quickly recognize some of our folks here tonight. Quickly, Thomas Awaji. Yes, the minister is in darkness too, but he's here in the States. Honestly, I guess he's in a zone where probably turn nighttime on him because he's in a vehicle, and I don't think he wants to be driving and having this live conversation. Um, Minister Woods doesn't live in America, so he's in and out, and we're very fortunate to have caught up with him to bring him here tonight. Let me bring back Moses. Let me bring the minister back. Are you good now? Can you hear us?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, he's back
Okay.
now. Yeah.
All right. And now
So I can hear.
the
I can
echo
hear you.
all right,
Yeah.
so that echo was coming from the way he first connected, I believe.
It
But
could
quickly,
be
just before we get back to you, I just want to quickly recognize some folks here. Again, Ellis Stevens, thanks for coming in. Midfield Deco, Gregory Hemin, Stem, it's good to have you, my brother. Maurice Kasama, we say thank you for coming in. Kowu Kabar from Buchanan, Palm Bay. It's good to have you, Emmanuel Jackson, Henry Shapolu, Francis, Nello, and all of you good people, Veronica Simpson from Frederick. Welcome to the issues room. So the question was, Mr. Minister, um, he's again frozen, I think, a little bit. So
yeah, I think he should be
it
okay.
had to do with if you can hear me, it had to do with uh what did your administration do with regards to sustaining zoning, making sure that people are not building in islands, and making sure, because when you look at the way construction is done in Liberia right now, is
Yeah,
like helter skelter.
yeah,
During your time,
yeah.
how was it?
Let me tell you a number of things. One is that the way the Ministry of Public Works has been structured, we needed to dismantle it and give attention to particular sector. For instance, few years, they integrated public works and rural development. So they brought in rural water, rural housing, everything to public works. Before I left, we started to embark on the water and sanitation and hygiene commission. If you hear about the wash commission, it started during my administration. We're taking away water, that rural water component from in public works, and put it on its own. My
Hmm.
intention, therefore, was to make zoning a stand-alone commission, so that they are also in the neighborhood. We have neighborhood zoning committees that will control the neighborhood. It is the communities that must determine where churches will be built, where things will be built. And when you want to build there, the approval is not coming from public works. There will be a local community neighborhood committee that will approve those drawings and to determine where you will build. We have a centralized and buried in public works with no funding. Number one. Two, the law had to be changed. The zoning law of the 1950 and 60 had to be changed to make it more than Liberia and Morovia had grown beyond what it was. So the different specification and standard that were used in the zoning code, the Liberia zoning code, were different. And so what we did was to look at a whole new zoning law and submit it to a law reform so that they can submit it to government. I got support from the ABA, the American Bar Association, and other groups to be able to look at the zoning law, send it to the Law Reform Commission so they can discuss it, so we can have a whole new zoning law and zoning code for Liberia. Now, the other thing, where within our limited resources, we had to make sure that certain things happen. If you look to SKD Boulevard now, you see Total gas station there. That Total gas station, that's will be there. My administration didn't approve it. It's built right in a swamp, right to the corner, and it's creating its own traffic congestion in the area. So pedestrian and vehicular movement, nuisance are all part of zoning responsibility. The ministerial complex you see over there. You know that I had a press conference opposing that. As Minister of Public Works, I had issues with it until I left. Because if you want to decongest Monrovia, that complex now will be over there.
No.
Be someone create a whole new city and decongest Monrovia.
They did not even have parking lot, Mr. Minister. No parking lot.
So now by building the ministerial complex at that place, you've seen the traffic congestion. Congo back road emptying over there, pedestrian going to work, people using vehicles, and so it's a problem. Now they have to do an overpass to begin to address that problem. But again, there were politics behind it. I had my own issues. I expressed them. So what I'm saying here is that unless we have zoning decentralized, I learned they have taken it to the land authority and so forth, but we have to make it decentralized and put power in the hands of communities. You live abroad, you know that to cut a tree, cut a tree in your own yard,
you gotta get permit.
Yeah, bring professionals to do it. Yeah,
saddle with that. You see a bridge along that SKD Boulevard, something that was being built by a guy who I knew who died now. You're trying to build a bridge through the swamp, and we knew it was going to create flooding on the SKD Boulevard Road and destroy it. I stopped it. I got down from the vehicle, went there, got the zoning people to stop it. I left. It's there. The water you see on that road is part of that problem. That if you don't build the right bridges, put in the right covert in some places, especially in the swamp, there are implications. And there is where the EPA, Public Works, and other groups need to work together as a team to begin to address those fundamental questions. People building oil in the swamp. The swamp is a natural drainage. It absorbs the shock of flooding, but we're building into it. We're constructing all along these places.
And throwing dye too. A lot of dye.
That is even worse because it's destroying our infrastructure. And I think you also know about the erratic, chaotic sand mining in Liberia along everywhere the river banks. People just digging into it. It will eventually affect our bridges, our infrastructure. It will affect our roads. You understand? And it will create erosion, massive erosion in our country. I brought all these things to the attention of our administration. I even wrote letters and minds while I was there, raising issues of what I had observed. And these are fundamental things that moving forward in rebuilding Liberia and envisioning a new Liberia, we have to look seriously at, because flooding occurs in many places around the world, and we are creating conditions for our own flooding. So in the future, without controlling these things, it will certainly affect our country. I heard Gregory's term is on. You know, Gregory was one of those, he even worked with us at Public Works. He was there for a while, photographing and documenting most of the things we had done. And I sympathized with him. His wife passed a few months ago. I sympathized with him. Wife Monica very well. So I hope Gregory is listening, and I wish him well. My sympathy is still being extended to him.
So, Mr. Woods, from hearing what you say, I think our greatest problem in Liberia is the failure to adhere to the rule of law.
So, Volcano, let me tell you, Gregory is on this thing. If you ask Gregory privately, when we used to go to work, when I used to convene my staff meetings every day, it was 7:30 in the morning. People felt that nobody could come to work 7:10 in the morning, but it happened. My senior staff meeting, if 7:25 a.m. reaches and you're not in there, the door is closed, and there's a penalty for that. 7:30 every morning. Ask anybody from Public Works in Labor Ministry, and I didn't have to do it by threatening people. I went to work by 7 o'clock or earlier.
But was it a law you created on your own, or what is the government work hour?
Our own model we developed to to show to demonstrate our seriousness about public service. We knew our nation was in crisis. We had to rebuild our country, and it required greater effort to do it. So if I say come 7:30, I was there 7 o'clock myself. I had to lead by example.
Okay.
So part of those things, and the second thing is, like Volcano said, the lack of consequences. When we were small coming up, man, there were consequences. What kind of country do we have where the rule of law is virtually non-existent? There's no consequences, no accountability for one's action. When you have that, obviously, you have a chaotic society. When the rule of law, the judiciary, as I said, is corrupt and politically subservient, where they seize the equipment of a radio station, the judge passed on it, and the judge was removed for that decision immediately and replaced. You can you imagine? If you look at all this United States Department report and Human Rights report, it's clear in there. Corrupt judiciary, I've added politically subservient. I hope it will change. But we all have to work to ensure that that happens. The war crime issue for accountability, all these questions continue to linger and haunt our country. The message we are saying to the young people out there is clearly our inability to govern and to lead properly. This is our problem. Get to Monrovia and drive on Tobon Boulevard or on the Congo Town Road. You will see a car taking the other lane in the opposite direction, and nothing happens. Two things that can characterize you in your home, my friend. You can't clean your own home. People come to your house, it's dirty. Look at Monrovia. It says a lot about decency. It says a lot about decency. If you look at the traffic, the chaos in the traffic tells you the breakdown, the chaos in the town. The traffic explains itself to you. These two indicators tells you a lot about the new character of our country and where we are.
So, what you have just narrated seems to suggest that no one seems to be in control of Liberia politically. Is George Weah, is President George Weah up to the task?
That's a politically charged question. I think the government basically lacks capacity to lead. I don't know yet George Weah. I'm talking about the government.
We're losing him a little bit.
Now, people say, oh, the people around the leader. I say, no. The people around the leader is a mirror reflection of the leader, the values of the leader, and the intent of the leader. It's the other way around. The leader will choose people, especially in our own context, who will just adore him, will be perpetual sycophants, turncoats politicians. Those are the kind of people around you.
Yeah, Volcano, you heard here, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of our biggest problem in Africa.
So let me say this quick. Philip Morris, listen, we can't regulate the sound from our end. The gadget he's using is where the problem is coming from.
Yeah.
His location being out there in a vehicle, apparently the signal strength of whatever internet or Wi-Fi he may be on is making it kind of difficult. You see now we're talking and all of the audio is crystal clear. So it's coming from his end. That's why we're having those bad feedback and also the low grounding coming through. But Moses, yes, he's absolutely right. Liberia is at a crossroad, and 2023 is that crossroad. We can either go forward or we can go backwards.
Of course. 2023, will be a critical year for Liberia because the future of Liberia, 2023, is going to define the future of Liberia.
And you said future. I don't even know how much of a future, man. Maybe 175 years old, you still talking future? We have not even accomplished the now. The now. And you talking future? We've
Oh, yeah.
retrogressed. Also,
There's
we've
something to look
retrogressed.
forward to.
Yeah, but we've retrogressed. Yes, out of the 175. And then you're talking future? We need to come from the past, the reverse we went in, and come to the now. Because
I
this is what he talked about. If you record, and those of you
Yeah,
who
I
have
heard all the
problems,
selling points he
yeah.
made.
But the point I want to make here is, and I've said this long before even the issues room. I mentioned this on Bridge Radio during the time with Ashford and I.
Yeah.
When I said that Liberia's problem is the preparation of our young people. If we don't prepare our young people, we'll lose our country. You and I will be gone. Many of us have our children here. They will not have a place to go back to. They will have to stay here and suck it up, but they won't have a place to say my father was from here or my parents were from here, because we'll lose our country, and we'll lose our country on a magnitude to foreigners. And why I say this, he mentioned 3 areas: the YMCA, the YWCA, the Federation of Liberian Youth. Those were the institutions that were building us young people. Matter of fact, when I was growing up as a churchgoer and a Baptist, I went on the Baptist youth camp. I look forward to that integration and intermingling with young people like myself from all over Liberia. Some of the friends today that I have, we became friends at the Baptist youth camp. The Sebastian Moore, who was deputy minister for the budget. You understand me? One of my boy who were just together the other day, Hugo. His brother is the president of like Caribbean Mission. Olumenje. These are guys. The Reverend Peabody, who is on Spoon Talk. We all grew up together, and those were the good days. We're not sitting in ghettos. We're not on Pempe. We're not riding keke. The focus was to go to school and become somebody in the society to inherit the torch from our parents. Today, that is not the case.
But you
All of
heard,
us are here. Many of the folks here on this platform tonight, a lot of them are here in America. So the problem now is our youth. Everything George we are doing, not paying attention to them. At the end of the day, he will pack his stuff and go sit down in Kingston, Jamaica, and make his reggae music. But what will be left for them?
but you know, of Volcano, one salient point Mr. Woods made in how ineffective is the judiciary, the lack of rule of law. No one seems to be in charge. How will a court make a decision
Then you fire the judge.
and no one enforces that, and you
But you
fire
fire
the
the judge.
judge? So
Hmm.
you have an overzealous executive or overzealous president who does anything and walk away with impunity. You heard Mr. Woods. He said
The unnecessary
Monrovia,
salary
life
that
in
we lost
Monrovia
in.
is so chaotic. Traffic is so chaotic. It appears like no one seems to be in charge. The other day, you listened to Senator Yombly Kanga when she appeared in the issues room. She said the Senate got a report that the director of police, instead of assigning police officers in the communities, the police officers are indeed assigned to concessions. And these companies gave $200,000 to the director of police for the payment of the officer. So
Yeah,
the
on a
people
monthly
are left
basis.
unattended.
On a monthly basis, we got a
Yeah,
new VP.
yeah. So how do you fight crimes when police officers are supposed to be out or patrolling the streets are in rural Liberia assigned to what? Concessions. They are providing services to private companies instead of providing services to the public. Volcano, tell me, man, what's going on here?
Well, Moses, the people have allowed corruption to take over their ability to think. And when your ability to think is being corroded by this disease, you wouldn't even make sound judgment. And I like what she says here. Agnes Barkley Young said Morovia is a zoo.
Oh,
Morovia is a zoo. So it's like animals all over the place.
all the
Monkey jumping
place.
on the fence, lion roaring, and it's almost,
A survivor of the
kind of,
fittest.
yeah, kind of what it appears to be.
Yeah, survivor of the fittest. You know.
A colleague of mine just returned yesterday. He got in the country. He said, "My man, I'm just sick. I'm just sick from all the buzzing. The guy said I was on Dupo Road, but just to cross the Dupo Road intersection, the chaos that is there is just unbelievable. Then it must happen in rainy season. You know, Moreover, rainy season.
Wow.
Moses,
So,
let me just tell folks we'll open the line if you want to call and join us. Yeah, let's have this conversation. I don't know if the minister is coming back, but
yeah.
honestly, I think he covered grounds. He talked about
Oh, he did.
some very
He
important
did.
things there.
He
And you know, one of the areas I wanted to pressure him on was and I really
the
wanted
war crimes.
the war crime with the
The
Ambassador
TR,
at Large Beth Van
yeah.
Schaik visiting Liberia and being meeting with civil society. Just the fact that she's uh spinning the wheel on the whole issue. But the problem here, and what I have a disconnect with, when they say it's Liberia's problem and the Liberian people need to move forward on the war crime stuff. But if you have a president who has not done anything about it, you had a previous president whose name was mentioned in the report, took it, folded it, and threw it in the cover and locked it up and did nothing about it. What do you mean that the ordinary Liberian people who are so divided on the whole idea of, man, Prince Johnson fought for us, we from Nima will not let Prince Johnson go to war crime. The other group say this won't fall for us. You can call about he passing around. He said, my man, I the man, hey, y'all ready to bring the war crime. In fact, I'm advocating for it. And deep down here, high, he advocating for nothing. But that's what the
Your
deep down.
guess is
One nigga on the other hand say he passed up. He say he won't face the war crime code. So
yeah.
this is a sticky issue. No one seemed to really give a crap, because just the other day they sanctioned these guys, and there's a mixed celebration here. One group is celebrating Magere, the other group in Kagadaze Magera Rogue. So where are we? What type of people are we, Moses? I've asked this question time immemorial to myself. What type of people are we? Are we the third class? Because Taylor said the first class, the second class, and the third class, or the white man, the black man, and the Liberian man. However, who are we?
Volcano, our country, the challenges are many, but there are two key challenges. Number one, poverty, and number two, illiteracy. And most of our people live in extreme poverty,
Well,
and
someone
they
is
are easily manipulated.
someone is suggesting if we call the minister, hopefully he answers. We can just bring him by audio.
By audio. Yeah, you want me to call him? And so I think we can. I think that's a good
Just to
suggestion there.
answer
Let
the
me call and
just
see.
to address the war crime,
Yeah,
stuff.
let me call him and
So
see how that goes. Why?
let
Let
me
me
put
try.
you backstage quick. So let me quickly recognize Veronica Nimson. Yes, you're blaming some of the folks from here who went over there and took jobs. Of course, yes, some of these guys, they are making effort to go to Liberia and not do much for the country. And so yes, we find this to be true. It is our hope that When these folks take government jobs in Liberia, they will really go there to work rather than go there looking for money to come, pay the mortgages here. Because the rain that didn't fill the bucket, I don't know if the one or two drops you get from Liberia at the detriment of the suffering masses would be the rain that will fill your bucket. But again, Liberia, I see it as a big fat elephant meat. And if nobody is making the case, Liberian people not making the case, honestly, what do you get? He didn't answer.
He didn't answer, but I
It's
think he touched most of the key areas,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
he
think
really drove on.
maybe his phone, maybe his phone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he
yeah,
was in the vehicle, so his phone may have gone dead on
yeah.
him.
But
He
let's
did
quickly
touch a
remind
lot of
folks that the
issues.
line is open. Please call 404-272-2808, 404-272-2808, so we can have the conversation here tonight. But Moses,
Yes,
since we've done probably with the minister from all indications,
yeah.
something I wanted to talk about, and it has been way in my mind. It has to do
Before,
with the amputee.
yeah,
Okay,
before you get there, Volcano,
okay.
I just wanted to say something. To give credit to where credit is due. You heard Mr. Wu speaks about all the road projects
Mm-hmm.
when he was at the Ministry of Public Works, the road projects that the Salif administration honored to. And even when the we administration came to the leadership of this country, when these projects were completed or had been completed, they don't give the past administration any credit. You have a man, you have a judge, we I
Moses,
won't call
can you
himself
can
yet.
you can you pause on that? I see an international caller
Sure, sure.
calling. All right, let's
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
caller from Liberia. Could you lower your monitor a little bit?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
All right, caller. Thank you, man. Thank you for staying up this late to be here with us in the issues room. Welcome. What's your name?
My name is Adolphus McCready,
And
and
calling from what part
friend of
of
mine.
Monrovia or Liberia?
I'm calling from St. Paul, Monrovia.
It's a
Oh,
pleasure. Thank you so
it's
much
a
for
pleasure
joining
to
us
have you.
tonight. What's your
Yes,
contribution? You listened.
I just heard Mr. Woods, the former Minister Woods, on and what he had to say. But I just want to add to what he has said because when he was minister, he should be credited for extending the life of the Tucker Bridge. But
Yeah.
most people don't know it.
See
But
that?
that man instigated a program where every bridge would be analyzed and given a current position, whether it needs maintenance or it needs repair, blah, 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 blah. He started that program, but the people fought him.
Hmm.
That's why he resigned. I completely agree with his resignation because you can't be wanting progress, and there are people there who is trying to stifle every progress you made. Stifle. He's right. He used to call meeting there at the staff meeting, 7 o'clock, 7:30. But most people didn't like it.
Hmm.
You see, so
Mr.
it
McCready,
became
did you work?
frustrated
Did
for
you
him.
work at the Ministry of Public Works, or are you working in engineering or the Ministry of Public Works?
No, no, I'm an architect. I'm an independent architect,
Okay,
a registered architect in Liberia, and I worked with Mr. Woods when he was at Public Works as a consultant for some various engineering work over there. Even the bridge, the new Vitam bridge that they built, there was some question that surrounded it that we asked, okay, and the contractor could not provide those answers. They went ahead and built Vitam Bridge as it is now. Vitam Bridge was supposed to be, it was supposed to be longer than what it is now. But when we asked them why is the bridge shorter than what was proposed to the government, that was the end of the conversation right there.
Look at
somebody
that.
took
You
your
see,
call,
so I
but
mean,
he
Of
said
course.
something, and I want you, since you're an architect, to please add this. And I wrote it down as he was speaking, but I didn't get to ask the question. The shuffling
uh,
bridge, that shuffling bridge has been there since before I was born, and is one of the most
uh,
important bridges in the country because it connects the Roberts International Airport to Monrovia. And over my
mm,
time, I have not seen any, work done on that bridge. And with
okay,
the,
let me,
I'm coming quickly. With
uh,
the Chinese people right down the Bassa village right there, who have been dredging sand for more than 10 years or more now, he
Mhm.
talked about how when the tragedy sand, it undermines the foundation of the bridge
of the
because
bridge.
those
Yeah.
sand are being moved from holding on the piles and what have you. Uh,
Mhm.
what do you think is the danger here as an engine, rather an architecture engineer?
Um, uh, the danger. I'm glad you brought that up because that particular bridge, the Doolittle
Because
Bridge.
and the reason I'm saying that I will not ride on that shuffling road again. They got to find another
No, but
way.
I mean, it's better. It's good that you brought it up because I did a detailed, comprehensive report with photographs. Uh, uh,
Oh, we lost him.
No, he's
He
still there.
gone. Is he
Yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah. It's probably signal.
and I still have the copies of that report. If you go over that bridge before you get on the bridge, you go over a hump. You get off the bridge, you go over a hump where
Yep.
the approach, what we call approach lap. That means that the support under the wing wall, they experience what they call scouring in engineering. Scouring is when the soil underneath the main support it disappears. So the concrete is just like hanging there,
Hmm.
Hmm.
hanging in the air. That's what it is. That
That's
bridge
very
was built back
risky.
in the 60s. That bridge has a big hole in it where it was, I think, a missile or some water or something
Yeah, during
hit
the
it, and
war.
it bored hole. You can stand on the bridge and see the water underneath. No,
Wow.
Oh, we lost him. We lost him.
Yeah.
I'll give you a call
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
But Moses, these are the things we're talking about. We miss priorities. Nathaniel McGee takes millions of dollars out of our coffers. He builds a mausoleum for his mother.
Mhm.
Monies that he didn't work for. Money belonged to the Liberian people. Bill Torrey got away, walk away rich, filthy rich, and all these guys. And now they want to come back and put that money back
And,
into
and
their
and
own
and
personal.
people are celebrating them.
Yes.
It tells it
George
it,
Weah
it,
is riding
it
on
just
that
tells
bridge
you
to go
how
to the
sad the
Roberts
situation
International
is.
Airport.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Yeah.
even understand the danger that lies ahead.
Mhm.
And then when we talk these things, the people think that somebody has a problem with this president.
They-
Everybody, look at the other day he come into the United Nations, they charter a plane and fill up the plane with people who don't even have to come here. Why do
yeah.
you put all that burden on the taxpayers? Because let me tell you honestly, Moses, those people getting per diem and stipends,
Yeah.
all of them. So why you bringing all these people?
Brought in a lot of less essential people, to the General Assembly.
And what so much did he say at the United Nations that is different from what is happening in
He
Liberia?
spoke for less than 15 minutes. And what impact did he make?
Only to go kiss his dog Roxy and play with the dog. But yeah, but these are the missed priorities we're talking about. What happened the last time? The bridge that connects what you call 15 gate from
Yeah.
the I'm shuffling the Habel plantation. The Habel plantation, that bridge fell too. So if that bridge is not rebuilt, I know they rebuild it, but if let's just say if that bridge falls at the shuffling, get to Morovia.
I don't even
Then
know.
my man Daniel Cassell helicopter that could airlift people. They
Yeah,
they
they
took the
stopped a
man
man
helicopter.
helicopter from landing in
But
the
I
country.
throw some
Yeah.
of this humor in the conversation because
Yeah.
people are missing their priorities.
Missed
This
priorities.
government is not paying attention to a lot of things right under it. And I think Kofi Woods is right that listen, how can you build a ministerial complex right next to the one only thoroughfare we have in the country, this 2,000 years boulevard. Then you got Winners Chapel come there with a Nigerian church, they build it right there. Then you got
and,
supermarkets.
and the
Then you
whole
got
place become
the
crowded.
Kingston back road. They didn't even do anything with it, not expand it. It's just the same patchy. The Chinese embassy is right there. They did not do that road. So
but
why
you,
these? What kind of problem? What happening with our country? Are we just going to be like this? Some of us will die and don't
man,
see Liberia with or 20-story building, my brother.
our
So
national leaders,
this is where how it going to happen for us. So if that be the case, I'm going to New York tomorrow. Just go look at the skyscrapers that there. Because I
man,
look forward to seeing skyscrapers in Liberia, but it looks like it's not going to happen.
our national leaders are so, short-sighted. They are just concerned about themselves. because he heard a man say, that there were times that he personally intervened and stopped people from undertaking projects in the wrong areas, but yet no one listened. Even the ministerial complex he's talking about, he, as Minister of Public Works, advised against that, yet no one listened. So if those who were supposed to make the national decisions for the country, you know, are not willing to listen, are not concerned about the rule of law, then what kind of society are we going to have?
The man went and built a so-called sports complex, Invincible Park,
Yeah.
right there again next to the very boulevard.
Yeah.
How do you put all these congestions on the boulevard and you call it development, Moses? What nonsense is this? How do you put these public places right on the very single boulevard?
Mhm.
From EW Junction is traffic. The man told you about SKD Boulevard traffic. You get to Congo Town because of the ministerial complex. You got 5 or 6 ministries in that place. No parking space. Then you got the Peace Island, they call it behind there, 540, all kinds of names they got. All the people crossing all day, the people just helter-skelterly on the road. No traffic light in that whole environment, Moses, to regulate anything. Police officers themselves tired. You pass that point, you get to what they call it, Nigeria House and the old road. One traffic light never works. Some day only on red, some day only on green. Then you get to Catholic Junction. Then from Catholic Junction, CDC, they might not have something. Their headquarters is opposite what they call it, the old United Nations office.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they had the massacre, if you remembered.
Yeah.
And when they're having something, that
The
chaos.
whole place is crowded.
Then
Yeah.
they build entertainment all the way until it stops right at that very old road, opposite the old Ellie Scarborough.
Mm-hmm.
Cars parking, people drinking, they build car wash, all of those things. They just stick it together. So
So
it's a whole
chaotic, my man.
entertainment
It's
hall.
so chaotic.
Then you leave from there and you go right across less than 200 steps, and you build a so-called Invisible
Ministry.
Park
Yeah, Invisible Park
right
right there.
under the airport airstrip.
Mhm.
You create a whole nother traffic again.
And you just
And
hold the
from there,
people
you
up.
take another 500 step, you do Vamoma House.
Yeah.
And you got a whole nother traffic. How
Yeah,
these people building this place? How are they putting these things up without looking at the unintended consequences, the things that will happen? Because at the end of the day, what you're doing, it's not development. You're just
No,
creating
it's not.
chaos and congestions. That's all it is.
So, Volcano, let's come back a bit to 2023. We're talking about it being very critical, and that is not a support and a or candidate, but we're just being objective here. You heard former Minister Woods that Liberia is in peril. The country needs resuscitation. He's simply telling you that nothing in Liberia politically is working. The leadership is ineffective. The healthcare sector in trouble. Educational system in trouble. The rule of law is in trouble. Volcano, what is the way forward? Let me ask you this.
Moses, Liberia problem is ingrained, but it takes patriots, and I've said this just from my own experience
Yeah.
and my background in understanding what leadership is about, and the fact that I scientifically studied leadership. It's a lot that one has to have uh, in terms of competencies and common sense and that strong willpower to want to affect change. I like what Honorable Wu said, that a lot of them want to be president, but they're not planning on how to be president. Because if I know Liberia's problem right now, Moses, and I decide that the Lord has blessed me, like other than say, and the people petition me, and I have won some money through playing the lottery, and I think that I want to go back to Liberia and become president, I can just jump into it. I got to understand Liberia from
Problem, yeah,
all aspect of the word problem, because this country is serious problem.
of course.
So for me to approach Liberia, I need to bring the right people, because in leadership, you attract the people who will work with you on your vision, not people who will undermine. You want people to stand up to you. You want people who will think outside of your thought process. You want people who will, argue with you on things like he talked about the ministerial complex. Madam Salif, we can't do it here. But
Hmm.
because Madam Salif, and I will say this, and I will say this, and let Madam Salif come for me. Because Madam Salif didn't want anything for Doe to be over there. That's why they broke that Ministry of Defense. That's the whole idea. Because the Ministry of Defense was built normal time. So you
Yeah,
telling me the concrete, the steel, raw, all the things they put in that ministry, it was not
everything
sound
went down, man.
compared to the
Everything
actual
went down.
thing they put down there called ministerial complex? But she broke that down because she didn't want any symbol of Doe. And I know the old lady, that old lady, that Dao. But then she goes to put a ministerial complex over there, and people seem to her own minister who she trusts, telling her, say, Ma, they want it will not work here. We ain't got a space.
Yeah,
You can't build 5 to 6 ministries in this small place here and expect the human traffic,
that
vehicle
could have
traffic
just been a
to
whole
follow.
city by itself.
Yes. You got all the land on Ralphie Highway. You leave it,
Yeah,
and you can't stick that ministerial complex right there. You got across the bridge. Look at Hotel Africa, that government land. Why you leaving the hotel to sit there in Skeletor? Why you didn't go break that one down and put the ministerial complex over there?
yeah.
Create better traffic on that. I mean, open up the roads
Hmm.
and people go and work on that side. But you stick it on the scene, one little boulevard, that everybody. So yeah, so when you go into looking at Liberia's problem, and you're not analyzing the problem and finding the right people to work with you and holding them accountable and setting the tune like he talked about, then you're gonna fail. You're not gonna be appointing people because they were with you in your political run. We're not saying don't compensate your stalwarts, but don't give them positions that they're not competent to serve. Jefferson Koji, listen, my man, I'm sending you to America to go get education. We're here for 6 years. If you're serious, you go get your bachelor's and your master's, we will still be here. Maybe even if you don't work in this government, because you'll be prepared, you will work in the next government. But you take the man out of high school, or you out of high school, he ain't not in college, bro, you're making city mayor. You think because it says city mayor, that a position that you can just come to with no education? You have to have education. You have to understand government functioning. Even
Yes,
though you may have a city administrator, but you still got to understand when you sit there with the board and the technocrats, you need to understand the language.
of course. You run the
They're not just
city. You
dressing
have to
up
understand
guy,
how the
guy, they
city
talk
run.
with a heavy tongue and make noise all over the place. And you say you mayor. So what did we have to do for Jefferson Koji? He hurt him. He harmed
Of
him
course,
further. So that's the
but
point I'm making. So some of the people who look what Toba was doing. Toba was sending these young boys, the same Vargas Matthew, all these guys, go and get something, go get educated, and then come back.
yeah,
Let's sit to the table and talk.
yeah, and Volcano, you said something which is very important. You said President Weah, by appointing Mr. Koji as mayor of Monrovia, did not do Mr. Koji well.
Nothing.
Now, what I would like to say in addition to that is that Mr. President or Mr. Weah does not understand the role of the city mayor of Monrovia. He thinks that anyone can go there because had he understood the enormity of the tax associated with being a city mayor, he would have told Jefferson that I don't think much rather being a city mayor of Monrovia is the job that I would want to give you
But
because
and
you
you
are
wanted
not
to do something
prepared.
for the man, send the man to
Yeah,
Zozo. Send the man
yeah,
to Zozo to be
yeah.
mayor of
Send the man
Monument
up
City or
country to
Zozo.
learn from there. Saying to Zozo, Vonjama, let him start learning from there before you can,
Man, I
You
tell
know,
you now,
do
who's
you know
gonna do
what it
that?
means to run the city of Monrovia with all those businesses? Just getting rid of the field, and you have someone who never even had the opportunity of supervising two persons.
Two persons.
Yeah, to run such a big city.
The capital city of a country.
Yeah,
This Monrovia that I knew when I grew up was laid out where all the people from many of the West African nations came to Monrovia
yeah.
as a paradise.
Man, never
And you
supervised
take it
two
and give it to
persons,
Jefferson Koji,
and you give him such a
all
huge
because you say you were youth
responsibility.
wing chairman or running all over the place.
But anyway,
So
you
where are you
can't.
getting too good for Koji? You should have sent Koji to school. Then the
Yeah.
other day he graduated from LU, he decided to parade with banner.
You
That
mess
big
a tablet class,
accomplishment.
eh?
You getting bachelor's degree in Liberia. You running all over the place to celebrate a bachelor's degree in Liberia for
Mhm.
real.
Yeah.
So we
So
say these
we,
things not because we hit the president, we hit the CDC. We just talking. You asked me a question of honesty.
yeah,
And I'm telling you, if I were in a position to be president, these are the things I would even consider before
absolutely.
even making my point
Yes,
or
I
putting
agree.
forth my candidacy.
Hmm.
I want to study Liberia's problem. There's no one area in Liberia that any president can tackle. Everyone is saying, oh, I will do this, I will do that. Just one area of Liberia's problem, you will spend your entire presidency addressing.
The challenges are just too many.
Moses, I repeat myself, only one area of Liberia's problem, the multiplicity, the incalculable problems of Liberia, only one area of Liberia's problem that you will spend your entire tenure of your presidency, whether first, second term, to tackle.
Sure.
We can go down the list. You talk about the rule of law, you know what it means to restore law and order in Liberia. You got to have a corrupt free criminal justice system. You got to have a corrupt free policing. You got to have a corrupt free military. You got to have a corrupt free security apparatuses.
Yeah.
You know how long it takes to build that? Immigration needs to be corrupt free. Just that
The
alone.
police, the
Yeah,
police.
that's what I said. Hold on. Call up 4659. Welcome to the issues room here, 95th edition.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to you all for the top for the topic tonight. It's very interesting and very educating. But it is sad the way our country is going. It is so sad because if we in America and after 5 years we go back, no development, then why did the Liberian people voted George Weah and his group of people that looting the country?
Yeah.
It is so sad. I mean, I listened to Honorable Kofi Woods, and he said a lot. He said a lot, and that agree that Unity Party government didn't do 100%, but they set the foundation and
Absolutely, they
they
did.
perform. But what are they doing? They are destroying everything in the country. They are destroying everything. There's no investment for the youth to get them off the street and they're leaving them vulnerable. They are importing drugs into the country to put the drugs on the street that these children will smoke and go back and vote for them. That is what's going on. And the only thing we can do, and you guys are doing the right thing. And as you guys speak to the prevailing situation in the country, I believe you also educate the voters in Liberia. Why you may not be speaking for a particular candidate, but they must make the right decision comes 2021 because people that are in power now, they have the resources. They want to be protected. What are they going to do? They're going to give those vulnerable youth money to vote for them
Mm-hmm.
because they want to remain in power. It's this is a very serious issue going on in Liberia. A couple
Yeah.
of years ago, I was in Liberia working. I was a police officer assigned at Somalia Drive. Ellen Johnson government did well to create a full lane. But look at Douala. Douala is still the same old way that we left it 6, 7 years ago, and it is worse because all of the roads are closed. And many of those people that are living in Liberia, when you talk to them, the men doing well. How, how can you live in such a condition and your life is deteriorating and everything in the country is going backward? I mean, I want to encourage you. I'm not here to talk about any candidate, but I think we all need to speak out that our people will understand Liberia is not progressing, Liberia is retrogressing, and Liberia is going to the lowest pit. Liberia is going to the lowest pit.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
what can we do as Liberians? Yes, we thank God. God brought us here for a reason. Like I was talking with somebody, and he said on a talk show on the drive, and he said, "Do you know that if I were in Liberia, maybe I would have been a Zogo?" It's true. Do you know
Hmm.
how many fathers and mothers are here and their children back home? They are involved into the Zogo lifestyle because nobody is there to advise them. And this one thing the Bible said. The Bible said, if the foundation of the land is destroyed, what shall the righteous do? The foundation of our land is destroyed. And who are the next leadership that we're going to pass the baton to take over Liberia? It's not the youth in Liberia. No, it's not them. It's those of us who have been opportune to travel and come to the states to educate our children to go back and introduce some value. But when you go back, you think that you want a job, but they don't understand. We come to America. There is a system in Liberia. We do have a system, but is it working? Look at the judiciary. They are the most corrupt. Look at the lawmaker. What are the laws they are passing in Liberia? They are enriching themselves, and the people are suffering.
Yeah.
This topic is so unique, and I like how you guys are speaking to the issue and not the individual. And
Thank
that's what
you.
we should be doing. That's how we will educate our people to speak to the issues that is confronting the nation and not talking about this individual because they cannot do the job. They can't do the job. They can't do the
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
So all they're fighting for in 2023 is to go back in power and enrich themselves. And
Yeah.
enrich themselves.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
for your
Bye-bye.
contribution.
And Volcano, I just want to acknowledge Agnes. And, she says that the people need education. Evolution. There has to be an evolution for education in Liberia. People need to be educated about their rights and why our national leaders have to be people of honesty, people of integrity. It just cannot be anybody that you just throw out there. And when the people go, they are so fixated on the personal ego and forget the national interest of the country. Because like some of these things that Mr. Woods spoke about, the businessman who wants to set up a business, he would go in an area that he knows that he's not supposed to do construction there. He goes and bribes somebody. The person tells him, "Hey, you can go ahead and do it," and then he builds a structure that creates more problem for the country. So adhering to the rule of law is so critical. It's so critical in everything we
Entonces,
do.
my study in local government, public administration, and public works administration. When you talked about, we have codings from my studies I did. You look at residential, only certain structure should be there, and anything that has commercial attachment to it cannot be in a neighborhood. So
Okay.
like Walmart, you can just throw Walmart everywhere. Just so they got to go to the community. They got to sit with the city council, talk to the
Yeah.
people, make sure that the Walmart is what they need. And if they need the Walmart, they will identify where the Walmart would be built. Not to just
Right.
bring the Walmart next to Moses Sandy house. Because if they bring the Walmart next to Moses Sandy house, then crime is
Crimes. Yeah.
invited.
Yeah.
You understand me? Because Walmart will be vulnerable
Of
and
course.
susceptible to
People
crime.
come. Yeah.
But let's come back to what I was saying when I talked about just taking one problem.
Yeah.
So just imagine you president, you come to power and you say, listen, I just want to restore the rule of law and the policies to work for our country. That's something you will do your whole term.
Yeah. Just focus on that and make sure you
Or
strengthen
I
it.
just want to go straight for education.
Yeah.
Look
Focus
at
on
what
that.
what's this guy's name? The late Robert Mugabe. Do
Yeah.
you know that at one time in Africa, the most educated group of Africans on the continent was
Well,
Zimbabweans
Zimbabweans. Yeah. He did a lot of investment in
in
that.
education, right?
Yeah.
So you focus on that, or you focus on the health sector, or you focus on the agriculture sector. But when you won't put your hand here, you won't put your hand there, you won't build 14 military hospital, you won't build Invincible Park,
Yeah. He built all
you
these
won't build small
sustainable,
houses for
institutions.
the
Yeah.
people. Then you say, then you build your own condominiums,
Yeah.
then you build your resort. You're not getting anywhere.
No.
And I was surprised that Mr. Woods said that most of the money for the other road scheme are the taxpayers' money.
Yeah. Locally generated. Locally generated. They're not taking World Bank, loan. Locally generated. And since and that's the thing about the we administration. For everything that has to do with good, is the administration that takes the credit. Never gave credits to its predecessors. Salif and past administration, no. But when something goes by, they'll say, oh, we inherited this, we inherited that, we inherited this. But when it comes to achievements, then it is the CDC, and which is actually not fair. It's not fair to Mr. Woods. It's not fair to others. Would rather work around the clock to make sure that these institutions, were built.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not fair to these people.
So, man, I don't want us to lose this thing. I wanted to talk about it. So, our national amputee football
Yeah.
team. My man, the man that only got one foot in the clutch about, but the man that beat France on the world
Tennis.
stage. The team is I think the team should be Lone Star now.
Tell me
Because
something.
the 2 foot man,
Help me learn about them.
the 2 foot man then, right?
Yeah.
From we are time, we are had 2 foot. We are had
The-
2 foot. Bocha
The
had
foreign
2
challenge
foot.
we are.
Anissa had 2 foot. All the men had 2 foot, right?
Yeah.
They even carry our team anywhere. But the amputee, my man, those guys are playing mad football. As president, we have pay attention to them.
No.
Oh no, it ain't got nothing to do with him.
No.
You're not the one lifting a Ballon d'Or. I mean, our last 2 presidents, they all about themselves. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, all about herself. All the laureate, Nobel Peace Prize winner. What peace you brought? How could you win Nobel Peace Prize when you didn't bring peace to Liberia?
She helped to stabilize.
What stabilized what thing?
Well, when she got to the presidency, the country has just evolved from the Civil War.
Yeah, but the interim
And
government
she
got to
had to
get
do,
credit too. The interim government laid the foundation for
and
election.
she can, and
But
that's what we say. Government is
but I'm just
continuity.
I'm just saying this to say that Some of
Yeah.
these accolades are misappropriated. They're given to the
Okay.
wrong people. I'm just saying the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But all of these people, they just want titles and laureates to put on the wall. This
Yeah.
man flew all the way from Liberia, came here, go open box and live for Ballon d'Or to the Liberian people.
and,
Gets
s-
back
and
to the country. Gets back to the country. No rice. The little
and
one they
refuse
want,
to talk to the
yeah,
people.
and the one they hit to use for the what they call it, the election.
Yeah.
They get called about the score at the Ministry of State warehouse, and he put him on it. So Sir Joseph was supposed to become rice dealer, and so he
Man,
can't.
look, man, I beg you, man. Did you see Yake in Kakata yesterday?
But this is what bothered me, and
Yeah.
the reason I say this is that President Weah, did you have to celebrate your birthday in prom and pageantry? Did you
You know
have
what?
to have people come lined up in your Jamaica resort to bring you gift? The poor, struggling people. The president drives in his Jamaica compound or resort, however you call it, in a Mercedes Benz, driving himself. He gets down with his wife. He goes indoor. By this time, Finabondo is making an announcement that all of y'all who came to get the president a gift, y'all land out here. Then you got his ministers. I saw Zoga Wilson. I saw Peter City Ty. I saw what her name, the one from Commerce, my Winnie Dix, all of them.
Yeah.
They're standing in line as if to say the man coming from abroad and they went to meet him,
Yeah.
or he's leaving the country and they went to meet him. And then he walks, look at them. Because if this is a birthday celebration, your guests should be seated.
Of course. That
Your
place should
guests
have
should be
been well
seated.
set up.
Not
It
standing
should have been well set up, man.
I mean, let me practically honest here. But why is President we are celebrating birthday every year and making it prom and pageantry? In
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
moments of hunger, when you see pictures of mothers claiming fence, I spoke to somebody today from the Freeport. They have gone there more than 6 days now
No food.
just to get $500 worth of rice that they want to sell. They gave the
Wow.
money, they took the money, but they're not getting the rice. But
Hey,
they've been
man.
there. They're sleeping out there in the open
Oh, man.
because the time they can commute to get back to Marshall and
Yeah.
come back to Morovia, then it will be useless. So they're just hanging around for 6 days. My people,
No,
these things we're talking about, we're not making them up. It
no,
is the reality
these
on the
are real life stories, my man.
But then I
They are
see the
real life
president that's
stories.
standing taking gifts from these poor people. And then the funny thing about it, this is not a birthday celebration. The man only had the people there to give him gift and get outside his fence and go home.
And go by being see everybody bring your gift.
Bring your gift and take that other road. Fina Bondu is directing traffic. You go on that side. So now you get your gift, you go and you go home. I'm telling you. And some of these people are happy to be in the president's space.
Of course.
But then they give the gift to go back home now. They got rice on the table. Moses,
Yeah.
this is sad. Yes,
That's
Elizabeth
that's
Bowen, this is
that's
absolutely sad.
that's
I am not going to
exploitation.
Moses, as much as I would love to celebrate my birthday. My
But not
birthday
every
is New
year.
Year's Day. It's a national
Yeah,
holiday
yeah,
globally.
yeah. No, every now and
So I
then.
don't have to. People say, but you're not celebrating. I said, but everybody's celebrating my birthday for
Yeah.
me.
So what's
You would think
so
that the president would come and address the people and say, listen, no need
uh,
for a birthday celebration. I will
yeah. Right
only,
now, my country is
yeah,
faced
yeah,
with crisis. Yeah,
crisis.
that's
I
what
will
a good
address.
leader would do.
I am sorry that the right situation is going out of hand, but we have control. As I celebrate my birthday today, it will be solemn with my family, immediate family, and we'll just continue to work hard to bring rice in the
That's
country.
it. That's what a good leader would
No,
do.
they come with him Mercedes Benz
And
and take gift from the
display.
ordinary people.
Yeah, the man was displaying wealth while at the same time exploiting the poor. You know, most of those people were coerced to go over there.
They want to be in the photo.
And yeah, they wanted to be in the photo. Some went there with the hope that at least when the president sees them, he would have given them something to take.
But you know what's
Yeah.
interesting, Moses?
Mhm.
What they fail to realize, all of these things are being covered globally.
Oh yeah, the
And
world has
because the
become a
people on the
global
ground don't
village. Yeah.
talk, they think that it's good.
Mhm.
But these are not the kinds of image that should be portrayed. When last time you heard Barack Obama celebrated, but even Donald Trump, who let people think, you ever
No,
saw Donald Trump celebrating birthday
and
and
no, my
making
man,
big
it's
holiday?
private. It's
Eh?
private.
President Joe Biden, you know his
It's
birthday.
it's private. They don't go about,
I know our African president, the birthday must be holiday now.
special holiday, my man. Can you imagine if America decides to make special holiday for its for all of its former presidents?
But man, we in serious problem. So Liberia is sick, and Liberia
Yeah.
is in peril. And I
Liberia is
agree
indeed
with
is
Kofi Woods.
in peril,
I agree with him.
And I agree with Honorable Woods on
I
that.
agree.
The country needs resuscitation. That's
You know,
why 2023 is very critical. The country is in a state of coma, and someone has to revive Liberia. Come 2023, that's the moment. But all of this thing we're talking about, right? Liberia, the 2023 election is so critical. But guess what, Volcano? When we brought in Senator Yombi Kanga, the political leader of Labour Party, she articulated that as far as she's concerned, the National Elections Commission, headed by Deanna Brown Lansana, is not independent. The NDC is compromised. And because of that, she has no confidence in the NDC. So now, what do you predict when you have a head of one of the biggest independent political parties in Liberia saying that, hey, as far as I'm concerned, we have no trust in the NDC. Where are we, Volcano? Where are we? Tell me, where are we?
but if the people can fire a judge who passes judgment in the
Yeah.
favor of a private citizen because he found that private citizen rights to be trampled upon. And I know the story. It has to do with Patrick Horner, Punch
Yeah.
FM,
Yeah.
and restored and demand the government restores this man license and give him the opportunity to open his radio station.
Yeah.
Mr.
And then you
President,
fire
you
the
have your
judge.
radio station. Some of the people in your government have their own radio stations. But you deny a man who even is more competent and qualified as a journalist to open a radio station. You kick him to the curb because the judge gives that power. You fire the judge, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that the elections commissioner or chairperson would do?
Compromised.
Or be compromised, especially if they feel that they can do without a job.
No.
You see,
So
Minister
so
Wu said he resigned.
so
He
the
got to a
future.
point where maybe, listen, my value is not taken
Yeah.
seriously.
So I
I'm
just
gonna
have
go
to
back into
resign. I
civil
can't do
society.
this anymore.
Yeah. Even
Yeah.
Tiawon Gonglo said he resigned from the
He
government.
resigned, yeah, when he realized that Mr. Sali was no longer
Necessarily
listening.
was compromising their integrity. And these young men, they built their integrity. Moses, you and I,
Yeah.
we were younger than them, and we
Mhm.
know how those guys were.
We follow those
The
people.
names were the
Mhm.
names were household names
Yeah.
for advocacy, for justice. So at what point that a minister who thinks that he means well for his country, for his country's image, will allow a president to compromise that integrity?
No.
Integrity is something you build over your lifetime.
Of course.
So if I come to work for a president, I know that I'm at your will and pleasure. But if you ready to know that I have the competence to deliver, and I'm delivering based on that credibility, and it's not for you, because at the end of the day, your tenure going to be over. My tenure going to be over, but the legacy we leave for the citizens and the country. That's what should matter.
That's true.
Everything Ellen Johnson Sirleaf built, right?
Hmm.
Potentially, most of them are being retrogressed as a result of poor governance today. Everything that President Torba built, look back, is eroded.
Of course.
Whatever Dole did is eroded.
Everything gone
We've never
down.
been able to sustain.
But that's what Mr. Wu said.
Yes.
Maintenance. The issue
So
of
when you have a
maintenance.
position, given an opportunity to deliver on certain responsibility, then you should be able to operate independently based on the purview of your assignment, your job description, live up to the tenets within your responsibility and deliver.
And do it to
When
the best of
everything
your
you being
ability.
compromised, then of course it's useless. So the elections commission, yes, that's a serious problem.
It
For us
is.
to have free, fair, democratic elections, the people who are political institutions need to have a trust in that
Of course.
commission.
But I mean, if a prominent political party, the leader of a prominent political party says that we will not do business with the NEC, and this party is supposed to be one of the active political parties in 2023 participating in the electoral process, then where are we? Look at this volcano. Look at this other crisis. I don't know if you follow what is happening in the NPP, the National Patriotic Party.
I don't know if we have time because we're wrapping up in two
Yeah.
minutes.
So
Yes.
just quickly to tell you how the rule of law in Liberia is in crisis. The vice president of the Republic of Liberia will having to be the standard bearer. They had a convention, and from what I read and some of the video clipping that I saw, the party leadership convened at one venue. The vice president had problem with some of the executive members. What did she do? She took the police to where the convention was being held. The police broke into the facility. The place became chaotic. One of the partisans suffered heart attack and died as a result of the incident.
Then she got murder on her head.
Yeah, and this thing happened right in the presence of the vice president of the Republic of Liberia. It has been reported that she, in fact, instigated the violence. Volcano, where is Liberia?
That's a
I
tough
just
one.
can't. I just can't believe some of these things. When I see some of these videos, I'm
Uh-huh.
like, what?
Uh-huh.
Where's the rule of law?
Yeah, yeah. But just before we go, Moses, I just want to give credit to the DEA
Yeah.
for the consignment of $100 million worth of drugs that
Mm-hmm.
they destroyed the other day through tip-off of our international partners, the U.S. Embassy and all of that. I watched the video. I
Man,
saw
you
them
think the
counting.
born or born in
But,
cartoons?
but man, whatever it is, I just want to give the people credit, man. Yeah, I beg you. So they said they were keeping two for forensics.
Yeah.
They were keeping two for
Yeah.
forensics, but they were destroying the other. I think it was 515
Okay.
packets that
Yeah,
were,
that's commendable. I'm
yeah,
just kidding, but
that was
that's
put together.
commendable. Yeah,
So
it's
I
commendable.
just wanted to commend the DEA. I believe the guy's name is Michael. Uh, some his last name starts with an S. I didn't get it, but
Okay.
he is the head of the
The LDA.
yeah, Zayu or something. Michael Zayu, I think something
Okay. Yeah,
pronounced like
but
that.
whatever we gave,
And
we
also,
gave commendation to
yeah,
the LDA.
and
Yeah.
also Musa Dean was there. So
Okay.
imagine what $100 million worth of drug would have done to our society.
Yeah.
It was just been more addition of everything, on our young people in that country. But Moses, thank goodness that we'll continue to talk.
Yeah.
We'll not
And we
stop
will.
talking. What a president we are is out. Alexander Cummings Daniel Cassell, the old man Bwaka, Tiawon Gonglo. You ever be ready for us because we're not stopping. Just say you won't Liberia. We talked about the incalculable amount of problems. You guys not thinking about it, but all of you want to be president. Yeah, so Joe, we are. Taylor, as he said, oh, they picking one my job. He said no. He was scared to say that he wanted a man job. Now he got a man job. He even able to handle the job.
Man, can move from
So
A to
all
B,
of them
my
want to
man.
be I mean president rather.
Yeah, man, can I move from A to B, my man?
Yeah, all of them want to be president, but they understand the enormity of being president, and
No.
it's not ordinary, especially when you're president for Liberia.
Yeah.
Liberia,
With all the crisis, my man,
yes,
no
you're not
food.
even president for America. I said Liberia. Can you imagine?
A country of more than 30 years, you don't have stable
Small problem.
electricity.
That small problem Liberia got
Ain't no forget it.
since
But
1980, 1979,
1989, you know, since then
42
you are
years
not
of
have
problems.
a stable electricity, and you say you want to be president for that country.
42 years of instability,
You didn't
42 years
afford.
of serious corrosion. Every
Yeah.
fabric of the country is destroyed. The
You got
religious community is compromised. The Muslim community compromised.
the legislature is compromised.
The zones and chiefs are compromised. All you do is just give
Compromised.
them one pimping. Civil society is compromised.
Compromised, my man. The media is
The
compromised.
media is compromised.
Yeah.
Security apparatus, the police, the immigration, your
Everybody
passports are
compromised.
being handled by foreigners. That the
The,
country you want to be president for? You think you
the,
can just
di-
do that a fix?
the director of police raid the city of the police officer and send them to construction companies.
The problems of Liberia are incalculable, my people. So
Yeah.
we'll come back with this conversation, okay,
Yeah.
Moses?
Yeah. It was a
We'll
pleasure.
craft a show. We'll craft a show to
Yeah.
remind these presidential candidates that want to be president that they just think that tato
Yeah.
and a tato
You know
are
that.
working, a serious work.
Of course it is.
You can't be like
And,
Joe.
and
We are going in studio and make music.
no, my
You
man,
can't
this
be like
thing
Joe.
here
We are
goes
going to
beyond
work
now.
11
It's a
o'clock.
serious commitment. It's a serious commitment. And let me
You can't be
use
like
this
Joe.
time.
I come in Moses
Yeah.
practicing 7 o'clock. He can go on practice ground 7 o'clock in the morning. But he can't get to the office on Monday. He can go, on practice ground 7 o'clock in the morning or some morning practice.
Yeah,
He
but
play
he
football.
never goes to work.
But he can't go to work on time.
No. So the man never goes to work. You talking
So
about
that way I leave my own.
the mayor office is at his Jamaica resort. That's what I'm told. He doesn't go to work. He spend all his time over there.
All right,
You know,
Moses. Let's
Thomas
call it a
Thomas
night.
Awaji said the whole country is compromised.
It is. It is. It is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ladies, for coming on. It was great being here. But these are the only things we can do. Continue to talk for our country. Uh, we're not talking about who we hate and who we like. I don't care about anybody. The
No, man. We're
wealth,
just speaking
whatever.
to those
Just
contemporary
talking
issues.
about the
Yeah,
main things,
yeah.
that we think that can be changed, and they're changeable. They're things that we can change. It's going to take a lot of patriotism. It's going to take a lot of sound thinking. It's going to take a lot of strapping your bells. Some hungry nights. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot. But the sacrifices, the enormity of the sacrifices will be the reason why you can make some progress, and those sacrifices must come. You can't have one man having bag of money in your house and he say, my money for the rest bag, and he tell the picking and make it in song. If it make bad, go test the transformer. you know
Yeah,
you gotta
yeah,
think when it's speaking in Liberian jargon, we don't understand it. My money for the
yeah,
rest bag. And
yeah.
if it make bad, go test the transformer. Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta so we got to make the sacrifice, Moses. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Let
And
me
thank you too. Let me join you in saying hats off to the honorable Kofi Woods who took off time. It was very um it was very pleasing having him in our studio tonight, just because of technical glitch. We lost him, but we want to say thank you for coming, Honorable Woods. The explanation you provided, the information you provided, very meaningful for our people. And we look forward to seeing you in the future in the issues room again. Thank you, Volcano, and you enjoy your evening.
Thank you. Let me just wrap it up with these folks quickly. Tell them thanks for coming, Emmanuel Jackson. It was a pleasure having you here tonight. Kilimin Swakoli Wikoli from Zozalofa County. Great that you could join us here. Lamin Tai. It's good, man, having you, brother. Joining us here tonight on the conversation. Agnes Barkley Young, thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you guys just joining us. Share the link, invite others to join us here. Elizabeth Bowen, uh, Ellis Stevens, it was good having you in the house. Shata, thank you so much for stopping by. Um, Edward Hall, thank you too for coming. And Othello Dillon, Flomo Livingstone, it was a pleasure having you. We appreciate you guys joining us all the time here. Jemima, Jaiman Cisco, again, it was good having you. Thank you so much for coming through. Morris Gassama, Veronica Nimsin, uh, La Victor Sharif, and the rest of all of you who made it through here tonight, including Henry Shapolo. We say thank you, Philip Morris, for joining us here in the issues room. Gregory Hemmings STEM, thank you, Greg, for stopping by. Always look forward to you coming through and joining us. Ibrahim Sano, thank you. Ernest Gaylor, my man. Ernest, listen, man, you helped me out. I'm still going through the motion. The pain is still there, but I'm working on it. I'm heating and cooling the area from that injury I had the Friday when Alja played those guys from Worcester, Massachusetts. So thank you so much. Alfred Cowboy, thank you for coming through. Midfield Deco, thank you for coming through. We just encourage you to join us. Kawu Kaba and Francis Nella, we'd like to say thank you all for joining us. I'm Volcano Shelton. We'll be back here by the grace of God on Friday. Until then, have a good one from our end. We'll see you again. Thank you.